Guys, welcome to my Ocean One channel. I want to be clear before I start this video. I had a bunch of people reach out to me asking me to do a video over the 10K. And I understand, I get it, you know, why you might want me to do that. But personally, I don't find the 10K terribly useful at this point. And I'm going to explain why. But before we get into that, let's get the YouTube disclaimers out of the way. None of my content constitutes professional advice. Viewers that follow any content, suggestions, statements from this channel do so at their own risk because you are responsible for your own actions. All right, let's jump right into it. All right, I take no credit for the screen that you are seeing right now. This was done by a friend of mine and posted online, and I know he don't mind me using it. So what did we learn from the 10K? Well, we learned basically that their books was a mess, because you can look at the before and after here and see that many changes had to be made. So it is what it is, but I still don't find this terribly useful at the moment. All right, the first thing I want to say is if you are here for me to go over the 10K, that's not what I'm doing, okay? So if that's what you're here for, just turn the video off and move along, because I am going to put up a screen that a friend of mine did, and I know he don't mind me using it. I'm going to put that up, and I do think that there was some useful information in the 10K, but I only think that would be useful if we weren't in dire straits. Since we're in dire straits, pretty much everything in the 10K, from my point of view, was old news. Now, there was some stuff in it, okay, but everything that we really need, in my opinion, we got from the 8K. I find the 8K to be 10,000 times more important than what was in the 10K. So I'm going to recap for you guys. Maybe some of you didn't watch my video yesterday, but I'm going to recap why the 8K to me is 10,000 times more important than what was in the 10K. Let's just recap why the 8K was so important to me. And I'm looking at my notes here, okay? So this is almost a repeat of yesterday, but I want to be clear on why I'm not doing a video over the 10K and I'm sticking with the 8K. We got the extension, okay? So we know that the parties are in agreement to some degree that, you know, they're allowing an extension. Okay. The next thing we get is that Fisker is going to provide a 13-week budget. Now, I don't know why that says 13-week budget. Maybe that should have been 13-day budget. I'm not sure, but anyway, okay, I'm reading the exact words from the 8K. Now, going on, we're going to establish, you know, committee and the board of directors and the committee transactions and all of that, who shall have the sole authority with respect to, among other things, decision-making regarding the sale process of the business and or assets of the company. So this CRO, all right, you know, I just find this to be insanely more important than what we're getting from the 10K. And let's go on here. I'm going to skip that part. Mr. Healy specializes in restructuring and reorganization. Mr. Healy has served as a chief restructuring officer, and it goes on, you know, and it gives all kinds of titles there, in both Chapter 11 and non-bankruptcy driven resolutions. Now, I think every Fisker investor out there wants the non-bankruptcy resolution here. And we found out what we owe this note holder. So it looks to me like we are trying to put together an offer for the note holder. And everything that's coming up here to me screams that the note holder is playing hardball, and you know we've put in a hard date here. So let's look at the hard date. Pursuant to the terms of the, now I'm reading from the 8K, okay? Pursuant to the terms of the forbearance agreement, if the investor has not accepted an offer for the purchase of the notes by 12:01 a.m. prevailing Eastern Time on April the 25th, 2024, Mr. Healy will be immediately and automatically replaced with John D. DiDottano as Chief Restructuring Officer. So let's recap with just dates. Basically, at the end of the day tomorrow, okay, tomorrow night at 12:01 a.m., either the note holder has accepted or rejected this offer. And then we're also dealing with the other date of the forbearance, which goes out to May the 1st, which makes me think that the 13-week budget might have been a mistake and maybe should have said 13 days. I don't know. Okay, I'm speculating on that. But, you know, we have those 2 dates. Everything about Fisker is going to be decided by what was in the 8K here. So I'm kind of dismissive of the 10K. You know, it's also 500 plus some pages, but, you know, we could narrow it down to the little nuggets in there. But I think everything revolves around this 8K. Everything here screams to me that Fisker is fighting for survival. And, you know, it's either we get a cash infusion, which I personally find unlikely, and I'll explain why, or we get a merger, which I personally find unlikely at this point, or we get a buyer. I think the most likely thing at this point is a buyer. And personally, that's what I would like to see, you know, as long as the money's right and the, you know, the Class A shareholders don't get totally screwed in a buyout. But I think that's what we're looking at. I think we're either looking at total bankruptcy, which could mean Chapter 7, partial bankruptcy, which is bankruptcy, okay, but Chapter 11 is very different from Chapter 7 because we'd go into restructuring and, you know, shareholders probably are not going to survive that. Or we get a buyer, which I think is the most plausible explanation when you look at everything in the 8K. Now, feel free to disagree, okay? I'm just looking at this from my own personal viewpoints and what I read here, especially with these dates. These parties are working together, or we wouldn't have the extension, we wouldn't have the dates. And I think, you know, I think the other person coming in, let me go back down here. I think this timestamp of 12:01 a.m. on April the 25th, and, you know, this John D. DiTano coming in, I think that's another leverage there, you know, to switch gears. If that guy comes in, what happens then? I don't know. It may be full-blown bankruptcy. I have no idea. It could also be leverage, you know, for working another deal of some sort. So those are my thoughts, and I just had so many people reaching out to me asking me to do something over the 10K. I felt like it was, you know, I felt like it was needed and necessary to address my audience on why I'm not going over that 500 and some page document. I think it's in the 8K. I think everything that we need to know is in the 8K that's going to come up. So we have some pretty hard dates that we need to pay attention to. So, you know, what happens tomorrow? Do we get news tomorrow morning? Do we get news the following morning or the following evening? And if that comes and goes, you know, then this DiTano steps in, and then we have the extension out to May the 1st. And then, you know, we'll have to reassess and regroup what happens then after that based on what we know. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining in. These are my thoughts. That's all I got to say about that. So, you know, hope you're enjoying my content, and I appreciate you tuning in. And until next time.